Right, so I received at least two compliments on my dwarfs and their paint scheme. So I thought I'll try and do a really quick painting tutorial. Week. So they're really easy. It's basically Slapchop, but Slapchop plus, I suppose, because I use the airbrush to get a bit of a gradient on them. It's so easy though. They're inspired by Malakai Makaisson, or whatever he's called, from the Slayer engineer. His color scheme in the Total War 3 game, the DLC that was released for him. I really like to look at them on there, so I thought I'd try and recreate that. Yeah, so I've got a selection of dwarves that I need to paint for just to add to squad. Like, I've only got 15 warriors. I want to add them up to 20. I've got 16 quarrelers that I want to add up to 20. Just some. I've got, I think, 14 I am drakes that I want to get to 20. So it's just a selection of stuff that I'm going to be painting up. So I'll go through all of them. Yeah, I'll cover all the steps. It's really easy. I can actually show you the selection of paints that we're going to be using. Like, these aren't super important, but these are all the paints I'm going to be using. There's a couple of little mixtures and stuff that I've done to make my life easier to speed the process up. So I'll go through them as we go though, but I'll put a list on the screen here somewhere of what paints I'm going to be using. But like with the gold, with the silver and stuff like that, you can use any. Okay, let me get everything set up, get ready, and I'll come back. Okay, so I primed them all black, and then I gave them a little zenithal, like a grey, just a spray can, just because I wanted to see what it looks like more than anything. And then the first color I'm using is black red from AK. Now this just needs to be any sort of dark, reddy, purple color, because we're going to be putting it underneath the white, the cream, the orange. So it's a good complementary color for the orange. It'll create a nice shadow color, so we won't have to do any extra work there once we've put the contrast paint on it. It'll make it nice and dark. So, let's see. You want your paint and your airbrush kind of a bit like milk, I guess is the correct way to look at it. I'm going to test it though first before I spray anything to make sure that it is correct. I'll just do one and then I'll do the rest and then I'll come back. So let's start with a warrior. So I'll test it first on that, and there we go. That's coming out okay. Back on my hand. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray from underneath, like the bottom of the model. I'm not going to worry about the top of the model because I'm going to zenithal it again with the airbrush. So I'm going to get into all the shadows with this colour underneath the arms. It's going to be the shadow colour for everything. It's going to be the shadow colour for the skin, for the brown pouches, the orange, the white, everything. So that's what we want to do. We don't need, like I said, we don't need to worry about the top of the model. So, yep, and it's just going to be the same on all the pirates, everything. Everything's the same. Underneath, spraying up. You might need to do a couple of coats of this, the layers, because the airbrush paint is quite thin. But that's okay. Doesn't take very long. Easy, right? Am I even in focus? Who knows? Okay, let me get this done and I'll come back. Okay, all the red's done. I did it on the shield. Well, you could do this with an aerosol can, spray can. It's not a problem. And with birches as well, because now we're going to just give them a quick zenithal with buff. Now this is going to be basically a zenithal, but what I'm also going to do is I'm going to spray this into any areas that I think would look would look nice with a highlight, even if it's not necessarily where a natural highlight would fall. So like, as an example, like on this banner, let's see, let me focus on it. So on this banner, I'm gonna, even though underneath here, there'd be no highlight. There'd be the bounce light, but I'm gonna spray a line of highlight along these ridges, just because it'll make it look better with just the contrast paint on it. You need to have a bit more visual interest, I think. So I'll be doing that across them all. I'll come back and show you once I'm done, but I'll do this really quickly. Okay, airbrushing is done. Let's have a look. So I've just done a quick zenith with them. I was a bit more careful with the buff than I was with the red black, just to make sure it wasn't too spotty. Lighter colours are always harder to do. So now what we're going to do is I'm just going to dry brush everything white. But the key with this is we want to do it properly. We don't want to do a messy dry brush. I see a lot of dry brushing, it's just chalky, which is obviously bad. Oh, I've got paint everywhere. Amazing. Put a bit of white paint on the palette. This is a what are they called? Like a canvas board. So it's hard, and I use it to prime and everything, but it's also got a texture on it. It's really good for dry brushing. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just some water. It's just what I've been using for airbrushing. I'm just going to dip the end in, and I'm just going to wet the brush. Even though I know it's called dry brushing, we do want a bit of moisture in there, just to stop it going dry and chalky. That'll do. And I will periodically add more water in the same way as I'm going. Dip it in here. And like I said, it just needs to not be super dry. There needs to be some moisture in the brush. Let's have a look. Is this correct? Yeah. And I'm just going really soft. This is a makeup brush. It's a really soft, big, fat makeup brush. The first time you do it, you'll need to go back and reapply just to get the paint into the bristles. But then once you get on a roll, it'll be pretty quick. And we're going to give it a pretty heavy dry brush all over everything, in the shadows, everywhere. Because we want this to be our highlight for everything coming forward. And anywhere that we're leaving white as well, the bone colour that I've got and everything there is just this. I haven't done anything else to it. It's just the 2 airbrushing steps and then a dry brush. But we do have to be careful with this step so it doesn't chalk up. Skin is very important as well, because we want to make sure that that's not too dark with the contrast paint we're putting over the top of it, because it's like a Caucasian skin tone. It's just the one that I've got available. Alright, so you can see the difference that that white dry brush has made. It's really brightened everything up. And like I said, this is the colour that we leave I leave the so the white is just this. All the white parts on all of it. It's just what I've done there. 2 airbrushing steps, and then dry brush. And you could do the airbrushing step with spray cans. Alright, so I'll get the rest of them done. It's the same on all of them. There is something actually that I want to mention. On the banners, it's a bit harder to get a nice smooth dry brush on them. So what you can do, say I'm just adding a bit more water into the bristles, is once you've given it the quick dry brush, just to add the white in certain highlight areas, I just like to stipple a bit with the dry brush so there's not too much paint in there. Just adds a bit of extra texture and a bit of extra highlight into certain areas. Just because it's hard to dry brush a flat area. So that's a nice little tip. Just give it a little stipple, just to build up the paint slowly. There we go. And you get this nice like gradient from like the dark red, black red up to the white. So yep, there we go. All right, I'll do all of them and then we'll come back for the next bit. Alright, so I'm back for the next bit. Oh. Everything's dry brushed to the stage that I left you at. Can I focus? Yes. I thought I'd throw an anvil in here as well. So that's the crew for the anvil. This is just going to be so I don't need to do the stage on this. Now we're going to start applying the contrast paint. Make sure you get a nice shape. This is it's an old brush, but it is a Winsor & Newton. You can't tell it's so old. But so it means it's got it holds a good amount of paint, and the paint is not terrible, even though it's old and knackered. Which means I can get the paint where I need it to be, and there'll be enough in the brush that it will flow off nice and easily. Okay, so we're just going to start with one of the warriors because they're the easiest one to, as an example. Let's see if I can zoom in here. See if I can keep myself in focus. I will try and keep in focus. Now, what I've done with these is I just picked either a half scheme or a quarter scheme, and then I just picked it every time I did a new dwarf. I just picked a different. There was no rhyme or reason to it, so that's what we're going to do. None of the shields match either. So this one I'll just do half. So this entire half of him I'm going to do orange. I've got the colour. I'll go for the colour orange then. Like you can see, I've just got I've got quite a bit of paint on the paintbrush. Oh, not even in. This is so difficult. Who knew that this would be so difficult? Okay. And then when we get to this bit, they've luckily got this little belt buckle here that I can use as a guide. And just draw a straight line and then fill the rest in. There we go. And then I'm just going to follow that up the back. With a straight line. Straight-ish. It doesn't matter if I get it on the bit that's going to be metal, because I'm going to be painting that metal anyway. Try and stay off the hair because I don't know what colour I'm going to do that yet. I might do it blonde, I might do it darker. Not 100% sure, so try and keep that clear. And then we do the same on his thing, on his chest and his stomach. Again, try and keep the belt clear because we're going to do that brown. There we go. There's half scheme on this guy. Okay. And then I'm just going to do that across all of them. Just picking out areas that I want to be halved, quartered. It's just going to be random. I'll show you what I was doing on the shields as well. This guy, by the way, I was recently at a tournament and some person, can't remember his name, he was just handing these out from his army because he's going to reprint them all. So I told him I'd make him an honorary dwarf. I painted him the same colour scheme as the rest of my dwarfs and add him into a squad. But the shields are all going to fall off here now. So they're just the same. We'll do this one quarter because it's easy, because it's already got the cross on it. You don't need to worry about the metal bits. Make sure you get plenty of contrast paint on there. Don't be stingy with it, but also don't let it pool. So as it's drying, you want to try and get the pools cleaned up. There you go. Super easy. We'll just half this one. Again, we'll go right over that because I'm going to paint it gold later. And then just fill the rest in. There we go. Super easy. Alright, let me get all the orange done on them, and then I will come back and we'll do the next bit, which I think is probably going to be the skin. Alright, so the orange is all done. It was Griffhound orange, but I'll put a link of all the paints I've used, and they'll be listed at the beginning as well. I'm going to be using Gilliman Flesh next to do the skin. It's exactly the same. A lot of these don't even have that much skin on them, so it'll be okay. Let's do this pirate. Oh, should we zoom again? Can I get focus? Okay, let's try and stay focused. I don't think we're going to be able to. I'll try my best. I'm just putting it all over I mean, there's nothing complicated here. Just try and, again, try and miss all of the other sections, because you want the contrast to go over the lighter area. Make sure you get all the bits that you need to get. Oh my gosh. So yeah, we'll just do that all over the model, and then, like I said, I'll get them all done, and then I'll come back once they're done and show you what they look like. All right, now we're on to probably the longest step. Maybe the metal is the longest step, but this might be the longest step. Cygor brown. We are going to do all of the belts. The belts, pouches, there's wrist straps. All along. I'm just doing all of this in Cygor brown. I don't think I painted that guy's boots. Yeah, all the straps, belting, everything like that is just brown. So it's all to do on them, because I'm doing the crossbows brown. I'll do the top of this standard brown. I won't do the handles. I'm not doing the handles or any of the weapons, because I'm going to do them a different colour, just for a bit of variety. The barrel, yeah, anything wooden or leather is getting Cygor browned. So let me do that. It's going to take me not that long, but this is the longest step for sure, and I'll come back. Alright, so that's all the brown is done. Oh my god, I'm never going to be in focus ever. So the next thing I'm going to do is rattling grime. I'm going to put this over all the weapon handles, boots, the pirate hats, and make them black. I'm going to put it on the little quivers, on the quarrelers, just anywhere that I didn't do brown, basically, that needs to be a dark neutral colour. So I'm just going to put that all over everything. And then I'm going to do a few of the... Oh, I've got the beards to do as well. So the beards, I'm going to do 50-50 split between thin rattling grime, so it's less dark, and skeleton hole. I'll just split the models in half and do half of them contrast, half of them skeleton hole and half of them rattling grime. I was just reading that. Yeah, so I'll just split them in half and then do half one, half the other. And then that's them basically done. There's a couple of little bits like this bottle. I'll probably do like green or blue or something. The runesmith has a book which I'll paint red or purple or whatever colour. Yeah, and then we'll move on to the metallics. So let me do this, and then I might come back and show you the thin down this for the beards. But then once that's all done, I'll come back and we'll move on to the next step. All right, that's all done. I did the beards. I didn't come back, this is the rattling grime. I just thinned it down a little as I put it on, and then this is skeleton horde. I also did all the little I did this little parrot. Oh, look at him, so beautiful. Beer bottle, and there was this little book. I just did whatever colours I had available at the minute. I'm going to varnish them all now, make them a matte varnish. I'm going to use Ultra Matte Varnish by AK. I'm just going to put this straight through my airbrush. I am going to use this, so I'm not going to be talking. I'll do the first one and then yeah, I'll go and do the rest. But yeah, I'm just going to put it straight. It's just going neat in the airbrush. And I'm just going to, yeah, let me get my mask on. Don't breathe in any varnish. That would be a bad idea. Okay. You definitely can't hear me now, so that's why I'm just going to do one and then I'll do the rest off camera. But just to show you, it's really easy, just going to air this over everything. And then we're going to come and do, so I can't even hear me. There we go. I might do 2 coats on them once it's dry. I'm just blasting them. Alright, let me get all these done and then I'll come back. Alright, that's it. Airbrushing done with the matte varnish. You can use an aerosol if you don't have an airbrush, obviously a spray can. The reason that I am giving them an ultra matte varnish though is because there's not many colours, there's no highlights or anything on here. I want as much contrast as possible, so if I can get contrastive finish as well, so the shiny metal against the very matte other parts of the model, that adds even more contrast to it. So it just makes everything, it just reads better across the table, I think, especially when it's all up together. And the metal that I'm going to be using is Vallejo metal colour. What is this? Dark aluminium. You can use any one of these silvers. I'm also going to be using the gold for the gold, but I'm going to be mixing this with something else to make it a bit better. But yeah, I'm going to just slap this onto all of the metal parts. And this goes on super, super easy, I'll show you. I like to use a little one of these. Don't put it on my wet palette because I don't want the metal flakes getting in my wet palette. And the reason I put it at an angle like this is because it's quite thin. So it'll all run down into the edge there, so it's super easy to... where's my paintbrush? I have lost my paintbrush. No, here it is. I'm just using exactly the same paintbrush I've used for everything else. I've used the paintbrush for everything so far. And even though this is an airbrush paint, I don't want too much on the brush. But it goes on super easy in one coat. And that's why I like it. It's really good. So it's really, really, like I say, it goes on in one coat super fast. No to put 2 layers on, just goes over it really quick. This is perfect for speed painting. So I'm going to get all of these done. It won't take very long. This is probably the second longest step after the brown. But I'll get these all done and then I'll come back and we'll do the gold. Alright, so I've done all the silver. So, whoop, woohoo. Oh, we got all done. I even put some paint on the anvil. Wow, so well painted. Alright, so now we're going to do the gold. This is the penultimate step. Oh, the shit is falling off. It's okay. Let's just stick it. So, with the gold, I like to mix 2 paints in a 50-50 ratio. And I'll explain why I do this. So, I use Vallejo Metal Colour Gold. I use this because it's got really good viscosity. That's not the right word? No. It's got really good flow. It flows really well. So it's really quick to put on. You can load it up onto your paintbrush and then just paint all the details. But it doesn't have great coverage because it's made for an airbrush. And if you're putting it over like dark colours that aren't browns and things like that, it doesn't cover brilliantly. However, Retribute Warhammer from Citadel does cover really well. And it's got a nice tone to it as well. So I mix these two 50-50. And then you get a really nice colour, a nice gold colour. And you also get really good coverage. So I'll put probably that, which is like 1 drop worth. You'll see this comes out pretty quick. So careful. Okay, there's a drop. Give it a mix. So we get this really rich gold. But it's got a really good flow to it. And then I am going to paint everything that I've got left, basically. See how well it flows and how well it covers. 1 coat and get it all on. Nice colour. Am I still in the shot? Am I even in focus? Who even knows? Very nice. Do a bit here, at the little hat. So we can show it to all the dwarf ladies. Look at my golden hat. It's a bit weird, but What about that? Paint that. There we go. Bish bash bosh. Okay, that one's done. We're done. Oh no, got a bit in his beard. Don't forget that. His beard jewelry, beard bling. All right, cool. That's it. We're done. And then I'll just go to the rest. There's one more step after this, so I'll come back for that. All right, we're in the home stretch. All the metal's done. Gold's done. Silver's done. Everything's looking pretty cool. One last step. We need to shade the metals. I'm going to do the gold and the silver the same, just to save time, and I think it's fine. So I've got in this little pot a custom mix. Because the cloth's all orange, I wanted it to be blue, but I didn't want it to be too blue. I wanted it to be like a dark blue. So I've made a mix up of probably equal parts of these three paints. So I've got a blue wash, Dragon of Nightshade. There's a purple wash. I've got the blue wash, Black Templar, which is a blue-black, and then just some contrast medium. So I want this to go on more like a contrast paint and tint it a little bit instead of a wash, I suppose. And you can see if we take our, you can see how much darker it is. Maybe you can't actually, if I can focus. Yeah. So you can see it's just a bit darker. Adds that shade, and like I said, it adds the contrast again. The orange and the blue are complementary colours, so it just helps add a bit more contrast in as well. So I'm just gonna wash everything, come back, and then we're done. And it's just the bases, and there's already a basic tutorial on how I did the snow bases that I put up. It's one of the first videos I put on the channel. So let me get this done. I'll come back and we'll have a look at them all once they're done. Okay, we're all done. Bases finished. Yeah, so the base is still a little bit wet, the snow's a little bit wet, but that is how we speed paint a bunch of dwarfs to look like Malakai Makaisson dwarfs or something. Anyway, I think I'll put some pictures up now. Did I put a picture up? I think I put a picture up, and then I will yeah, so if you liked it, like, comment, subscribe I suppose, and then I'd be amazed if anybody's watching still. But yeah, I'll probably do some more of these in the future with different things, different armies that I'm painting. I plan to have one of each army, so still plenty more to go. Thanks. Bye-bye.